Homies. We're a group of friends, play, review, and share about all things board games. Sitting around the table today are
Reed, Becky,
Gillian,
and I'm Angela. Today we'll be talking about Ostia, a game published in 2022, but so hard to find that I've thought about breaking into Becky and Gillian's house, eating all their cheese, licking all their Legos, and stealing this from them. But first, what's bringing you joy?
the game that's bringing me joy is one that I talked about in the past, and it's been pretty popular since its release, and that is Lord of the Rings: Duel for Middle-earth. This is coming back to my attention because the Allies expansion just came out, and I managed to pick that up when I was in Portland recently, and so I'm excited to get that table. I don't really know what it adds all that much, aside from Allies, hence the name, but I'm really excited to rejuvenate Duel for Middle-earth for myself. We had a mini tournament of sorts for Becky's birthday back in June, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I tried to convince Becky to play Duel for Middle-earth with me, but she didn't want to lose, so she refused to play. And so now I'm hoping to get it to the table.
what say ye, Becky?
Wait, I don't remember that happening.
I asked a couple of times, and you're like, no, I don't want to play that.
I'm sorry. I don't remember that. That was a different person.
That happened
of me.
twice in the past couple of months.
Okay, well, we should definitely play.
That's Malcolm, in case you...
Can hear the dog growling.
Yeah.
I don't know who feeds him carrots every time they come into this house, and now he just demands it.
It's not growling, it's whining because he's trying to get carrots.
Yeah, what a whiny dog you guys have.
Oh my god.
No. I really like this idea that I've only seen now twice, is that the expansion just looks like a deck of cards. So it's in like I don't know if this is a good analogy. It's in like a baseball card pack. It says it's not another box. It's not a bunch of stuff. It's like 6 or 7 cards, and then that's it. And this is the same kind of packaging that Sea Salt and Paper had. And I don't know. I kind of like that. I don't love expansion boxes cluttering everything up.
Although I don't really know how anything else can fit in that box.
For Sea Salt and Paper or for
Both.
No, I was just thinking that too. Like, it is full to the very top.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that you'll have to get rid of the little paper insert that they have that sits flush against the box. There's a lot of dead space underneath it.
Yeah, I feel the same way, even though I really like that insert, but it's harder once they're sleeved. And so it kind of feels like a box that was made when they weren't sleeved. And I was like, gosh, golly. The game that's bringing me joy literally arrived on my doorstep today. And sometimes I buy Kickstarters and then I get really worried that they're never going to come in because I never check my email. And so it showed up on my doorstep and I was very excited because I didn't get a ship notification. And that game is Panda Spin, which I've talked about a few times, maybe just in passing. And this is Panda Spin, and then the expansion Panda Spin Mandate of Heaven came in, and we got to play this recently at the board game meetup, and I found it really fun. It's a trick-taking, well, I should say, it's a climbing shedding game where you can rotate the cards and they get more powerful, a little bit like how the cards in fishing get more powerful if you are able to take them back or get rid of them and you don't want any tricks. It becomes more powerful, and so kind of the same. And I like that mechanic in fishing, and though it's different in Panda Spin, I like this idea that your cards get stronger and stronger. And so I was like, this game is very fun. I can't wait for all of us to play it.
I watched you guys play it at the tabletop day, and I didn't really play any games. I was just kind of hovering around watching other people play games. But one thing that struck me is, what was it, like 4 or 5 rounds? Is that what it ended up being? But what struck me is that there were 2 rounds where there was at least one player that could not do anything on their turns. And so they were basically just sitting there and losing that round. And I'm curious if that's going to be a long-standing issue with the game. And if so, that to me is a bit off-putting. But it looked fun. Like, the production looked great. What do you call it? The beveled cards or what have you, where
They're shiny.
They're shiny and they have, it looks really, really pretty.
Yeah.
I heard about the shine. I'm excited.
And the copy I have is shiny. And that happened to me. I couldn't play a card for 8 turns in this one round. But then I won the round because I was able to store them back. So it's almost like, when you get to the end of your hand of cards and you're like, oh shoot, like in Odin, you have one card left or two cards, you're trying to get rid of this number and it's awkward. Well, then somebody can storm through because now they've got the perfect hand of cards. And so I didn't like not being able to play because it felt very frustrating, but then I was able to turn it around. And I feel like anybody who couldn't play, there did become a point where they could.
And that game in particular, I was one of the people who sat out for a long time in a round. Going first and having the control about what's playing is so critical in that because it's really hard to come in and trump that game.
Yeah, I can't wait to give it more plays to see how it all sorts itself out. Maybe the expansion addresses some of that. If not, I'll just throw it in the trash.
You wouldn't.
No, I would not, Becky.
At least give me the shiny cards.
And they're blue shiny, which is fun.
Ooh.
It's different.
Yeah, it's cool.
The game that is bringing me joy is going to be very surprising. I recently purchased it used online, and I found a good deal on it. And that game is Kutna Hora.
What?
Your face. No way.
I did. I was thinking about how much I did enjoy playing that game. And yes, I have qualms with the mines. We all have talked about that. But I just kind of was reminiscing on it and found a good deal. Unfortunately, I do have to send it back because they said it was the condition was mint, and then it had a bunch of holes in the box. And I was like,
holes in the
I was
box?
like, that is immoral to say that your game is mint with a bunch of holes in the box. So I will probably buy it again because I really am into it.
You didn't want to buy the $50 copy sitting on our local board games U shelf, which is only $10 less than list price.
That box is a little wrecked too. I don't know. I mean, I'm not someone who's like anti getting a bumped box, but I do think that the price should come down.
How much did you end up? What was the level of I'll buy Kutna Hora for this price?
I think it was 40.
Oh.
So you should have decreased
Interesting.
yours to 40 and you would have sold it to Reed. That is fascinating that you bought that game. I feel like we're going to play it and I feel like all of us with the minds are just, oh, it's so frustrating. And then it's going to not hit as hard.
I recently spent like $60 going to see Back to the Future in the movie theater. And so I'm like, hey, if we get one more play out of it for $40 and some snacks, that sounds pretty good.
You had to pay snacks for it too?
She had to return those. She'd only eaten a few. You know what? If you end up getting that, I'm excited to play it again. I have mixed feelings about giving up Kutna Hora. I did not like the mines, but I really liked the rest of the game. Well, and the Santa Barbara, as I call it, cathedral, was not the best. But maybe I should do some research and then beat you all by going to the mines. Like, can I find somebody who uses a mine strategy?
Very King Domino. Doesn't always win, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same game. 10 out of 10.
I forgot to mention, Angela, during your Joy game, funny that you got a Kickstarter game in today because I did as well, and that's Energy Empire.
Oh.
Yeah, so, I just thought it was interesting. You got one as well.
Oh, I'm excited to see that game. I didn't think it was right for me, and I probably said Gillian's going to buy this anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Like you, I didn't get a shipment notification. It just kind of showed up.
I thought it was my tortilla press. It was not.
Okay, I want to talk about the tortilla press after the podcast, but I would like to hear about this game.
Energy Empire?
Yeah.
That's for a future podcast
Oh,
episode,
geez.
Becky.
He's got to save it for his joy later.
Oh, I see. The game that's bringing me joy is Bananagrams. I played it recently at the same tabletop day where you were playing Panda Spin, where actually I think it was during Panda Spin I was playing Bananagrams.
You were actually playing Calico.
Oh, no. They played Panda Spin for a long time, I feel like.
No, you were playing Clapton Flip and Calico.
Okay, that's right. I played a lot of games.
You played a lot of games, Becky.
But so Bananagrams, a person new to Eugene, their name is Renda. They brought Bananagrams with them, and because they bring their games that they want to get played or are open to teaching and playing, and so we ended up playing a couple rounds of that, and I had a lot of fun. And the joy that it brought Renda made me feel really happy and just so glad that, like, you know, Renda's in this new place, doesn't really know anyone, doesn't have anyone to play Bananagrams with, which is their favorite game. And we got to do that. And they're super excited to come back to more board game days.
That's one of the things that I really love about that board game meetup is that it gives people a place to build new relationships and new friendships. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's so late in the day. I don't know if I want to put on pants. I'm in my comfy clothes. And then every time I go, I'm so happy that I went, and I'm sad that I can't stay longer because I'm always like, but is it dinner time? And so I really enjoy getting to see all of the regulars that come and getting to meet new people. Like, I met 2 new people playing Panda Spin, and I was like, oh, these folks are really nice. And then getting to see others in the games that they're sharing. Lorna, who's really amazing, I sat down next to, and she had Covenant in her bag and Panda Spin and Lightning Train. And I was like, wow, tell me about all these games. And it's just really cool that people get to share their passion and what they love with others that they don't even know.
Yeah, no, you met this Reed character. She seemed kind of sketchy.
I was not sketchy.
She says in the most sketchy voice.
Really sketchy.
Exactly.
I decked out during the Pandagrams.
That's a new game.
Wait, aren't those like little cookies, little crackers?
I would very much eat some Pandagrams. I did not play Bananagrams, but I played Skull King with my friend Wildcard Mike, and that was fun.
And then you proceeded. Did you win Panda Spin?
Oh, no, I did not.
No, I
win.
did. That's okay.
Oh, you did that on
I
purpose.
just wanted to gloat.
Hey, some of us don't win a lot of games. We got to get them where we can.
Reed's face right now is so scrunchy.
I just don't like that Angela was like 3 steps ahead of me and setting me up for that.
What's
and I
new?
just-
That's
I
not
know.
new.
Oh, that kind of reminds me of the game we're reviewing today.
What are we reviewing today?
Ostia.
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 Hey, Angela popping in here. Before we review Ostia, I just wanted to say, hey, how's it going? Thank you for listening. And also, we are getting ready to put together our best new to us games that we played in 2025. If you have a game that you loved and played for the first time in 2025, doesn't need to be made in 2025, will you go ahead and give us a holler on Instagram, Blue Sky, or Board Game Geek? We'd love to hear what you loved this year and put it into our best of episode coming out shortly. So give us a shout out. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled episode. Okay, bye. Ostia, published in 2022, plays 1 to 4 players. It's designed by Tatsuka Chuo, art by Tatsuki Asano, and Rusante Urabe. It's published by Uchibacoya, and go ahead, Gillian.
Uchibacoya.
Uchibacoya. I knew a Gillian Correction Corner was coming. And if you are lucky enough to find it, it retails for $68.99. Gillian, how do we play Ostia?
The gameplay in Ostia centers around a mancala mechanism, where on your turn you're going to pick up ships, which are effectively workers, if you think of them that way, and you will gain resources equal to the number of ships you pick up on that specific section, and then you will place ships one at a time in subsequent sections. And when you end by placing your last ship, you'll take the action associated with that section of the mancala. Those range from constructing buildings on the common map of the Mediterranean, or converting wood to construct ships that you'll then add to your mancala to essentially enhance the number of resources you get as you pick up ships. And as you progress along that, you'll end up unlocking larger ships that will allow you to put more ships on the main map or the common map of the Mediterranean that players will jointly place buildings and ships on. Other actions will also allow you to do the administration action, which will allow you to select one of the other things, one of the other actions on your mancala, or there's one that allows you to trade, depending on the trading posts that you have out on the common map. The main point of the game is to score the most victory points, and you do that by kind of racing towards end goals. There are numerous end game conditions throughout the game, one of which is for a single player to have a ship at 3 of the end tiles, which are at the end of different routes essentially throughout the Mediterranean. So players will count up the number of victory points they get through various end game conditions. One of the main ways that you achieve or gain victory points is kind of an end game multiplier. Players will move along a track that will determine the multiplier that they'll get. So you may go from one section that'll grant you 7 victory points per building you've constructed, but if you manage to progress farther along that track, you may score 9 victory points per building you've constructed on the common map. Based on those multipliers and different endgame achievements that you've accomplished and various buildings that you've placed on the map that may give you additional endgame points, the player who scores the most victory points based on all of those conditions, be it the endgame multipliers, ships they've constructed, and also buildings they've placed on the maps, which may give them additional endgame victory points, wins.
Like almost all the games we play and collect because we like pretty things, I love looking at this game. The art is very simple. Like, it's not elaborate or decorative. It's just very plain, but the colors go together very nicely.
I agree. The tones are really beautiful. I don't know that there's a player color that I ever get to play that I enjoy, so I'm kind of fine with it. But I think the color palette is wonderful. I was struck by the production on this game, even though the board is kind of simply laid out, because as you're, taking your ship down the map, there's it's very clean. You can see where the lines are and where everything is. But there's these little buildings that you can put onto your board that move from the main board onto your personal board, and each of them are unique and they're wooden
And screen printed.
Yeah, and you didn't have the upgrade, or else I don't think you did. There's the first player, which you will never get if you are not the first player from the very start, is really great. Again, screen printed and wooden. You get a little boat that has all of your tokens in it, a la what they did in Galactic Cruise. So the production value was really high. And I know you just get little brown cubes. There aren't resources. The brown cubes act as resources depending where they are in your personal board. So at some point, 2 cubes represents wood or 2 cubes represent money. But I actually really love that. It's almost like it's so well produced, but it's not overproduced.
I absolutely love the lavender player color. That it was very exciting to get to play that, and Becky played the goldish brown color. So thank you for taking one for the team, Becky. The boats are really designed to carry and move around as you go around the mancala. It was a little fiddly when it came down to that. I think I dropped my boat a few times and then had to backtrack and figure out how to pick them up and move them where they were supposed to.
Do you think that's a youth thing?
No, I saw almost everyone at this table do that at some point.
Well, going backwards is a different thing. But you just literally dropping your boat, I feel like, is a Reed thing.
I accept that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the production quality in this is outstanding. Uchibacoya in general, the company there, always makes really well-produced games in terms of the aesthetics and components. And I did not have any upgrades. It was just inherently that way. It was kind of the base game there. There are upgrades that you can get, specifically dual layered player boards for your mancala, which I really wanted, but in the Kickstarter add-on of Sweetlands, from which I got this game, they didn't offer that kind of upgrade pack, unfortunately. And I've been very tempted to try to seek that out, but honestly, I think it works fairly well. It doesn't need the dual layer player boards, I don't think, which is a very rare thing for me to say. But yeah, and it also comes with, or you can also get a couple of mini expansions. We haven't really played much with that. We did integrate kind of the end game scoring tiles with the base game, but we haven't really messed with those components at all. And then there's one other final big expansion, and that's the Pirates expansion, which I haven't even unwrapped.
I wonder if that means that you get to steal from other people.
Ooh, that would be fun. I agree, Gillian. I don't know that you need the dual layer, and the boards did have a little bit of dual layer because your buildings fit snugly into their little holes. No,
No, they
That's
don't.
your
No.
imagination.
Oh, that's the
That
dual layer.
is your imagination.
I think
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures and I was like, oh, it's so great that game had that. And I was like,
Well, now what do you say? Do you think we need the dual?
well, I like something that fits snugly into a spot. But that's my only complaint about this game in terms of the production is that whilst I was not clumsy like Reed and just dropping my ships everywhere, you do at the end, if you've produced a lot of ships, just have a lot going on your board. And so you have to be very thoughtful about making sure that your ships don't kind of move over to another mancala section. Because then you, as you're picking them up, you could do that. So some sort of like line probably wouldn't be helpful, but still I can dream.
I feel like you're telling Gillian to buy the dual layered boards.
I would never tell Gillian that he should buy an upgrade that he should probably try and find, because now they're probably rare and hard to find, which is probably fun to find.
It's part of the new Kickstarter. I actually got into the pledge manager, and I'm tempted, but shipping's not cheap. So,
Oh, has it already popped up on Kickstarter to...
well, as part of the Sky Garden's one of the games, but the Garden trilogy that Uchibacoya is doing.
Oh, so somebody, if you cannot find Ostia, you can join that and potentially get it.
The caveat is there are some weird things with the rights for Ostia in that for the US, there was another company that were granted rights by Uchibacoya to sell the game in the US. And as a result, Uchibacoya is not shipping Ostia to the US because this other company has rights to it now. However, you can get the upgrade components and still get those, but you can't get the base game through that. If you live in the US, it's very convoluted. It's very
Yes.
convoluted.
I had heard that somebody had picked up the rights to produce it in the U.S. I didn't realize it was going to affect the Kickstarter. So if you do not live in the United States, congrats on you. You can join that Kickstarter and try and pick this game up. It is still very hard to find and is sold out everywhere. So until that company for the U.S. starts distributing it, we're kind of at a loss. But all of you other international friends, I hate you. I should say, I do really like this game. The gameplay for me is really fun. I was like, oh, this game, because Reed loves a race and an end game scoring condition, and playing this game was really caught up in those mechanics, and I appreciated that end game scoring, like Gillian said, is kind of like Scythe, where not Scythe.
Yeah, it's Scythe and Nucleum.
Nucleum.
Oh, Scythe and Nucleum. Yes. So I love that dichotomy of trying to balance going up on that track, but still trying to get everything done. And then when you're racing Reed, you are often losing to Reed because Reed ended the game one turn sooner than I really thought she would. And I was like, no, I had so many things planned for my next move. So I really liked that race element of when do you go back and when do you go forward? Because you can't go backwards.
Yeah, and this was the first game we played with the mancala. There are a few out there. This was our first real experience with it, and I thought that was a joy. It was very difficult to plan ahead, I would say. Much different action selection than I'm used to, and so it was tough to count the number of ships, plan out, okay, I'm going to land here. A turn from then, I'll be able to do this. And it was just trying to think through that was a hassle, a fun hassle.
This game to me felt like a perfectly composed meal or something like that, where it took the best ingredients from so many different games that I love and put them together in a way that just worked. The mancala mechanism gave me that brain burn, as Gillian was talking about planning out ahead of time. But then the whole time you're thinking about, okay, I need to do resource production here. And if I do that now, then I need to be able to move this here. And I want to land on this to get bonus actions. And so all of these things just created this like wonderful web of threads that it was a little bit tricky when you stopped focusing on it to go back and think about what you were doing. But with the race mechanism, with the set collection, which I don't think we talked about as much, and the endgame cards, the track, all of these different components worked so well together. And I was just engaged in this puzzle the whole game. And it made me think about like, you know, White Castle, how you just kind of follow this path, or Brass, how you're doing something and you need to like adjust if somebody blocks you off. And I thought it was such a beautifully designed game.
That is really well said, and I completely agree. While Gillian was teaching it and I was listening, I definitely was thinking about like, oh yeah, all these pieces are in all these different games, and they really did bring it together well. To go a little bit more into the mancala board, as you and Gillian were talking about, what also is fascinating is that you really can like hurt yourself and miss out on actions because you haven't planned well enough. And so trying to balance that while you're trying to do all the other things you just mentioned is a lot sometimes. There were multiple times in 2 of our games where I just could not do the actions I needed to do. And I don't even know how I managed that.
And there's also, on the flip side, there is a way to just really, really improve your odds at doing what you need to do, and that's through the administration action. Because when you land on the administration action, which is one of the 6 sections, when you land on that, you get to take one of the 4 other actions, and then you get to move the ships that are on the admin action, and you resolve the action that you end on. So it's almost chaining. Well, it isn't almost. It is chaining when you do the admin action. And if you're able to leverage that efficiently, it feels so good. But then if you're on the flip side and you're like, oh, I haven't been able to do that, and I'm seeing everybody else leverage that really well, it can be frustrating.
Yeah, the level of balance, because there were times where I was trying to, like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to take the action, but I had been stacking ships. Like, I had 4 or 5 in a section, and what I wanted more than anything was the resources that section gave me, because when you pick it up, say you're on the wood section, you pick up 5 ships, well, you're going to get 5 of those resources, and then you're going to move your ships 5 around so that you could then do whatever the 5th action was, which was probably move a ship. And while I was like, oh, I can only move a ship once, that feels like a waste, at least I can move something, but I got 5 wood, so on the next move, I'm going to be able to build a ship. And I loved that. Do I do it so I can build up some more resources that I'll need later on, or do I do it for the movement while also trying to capitalize on the admin action, while at the same time trying to race down a track and decide where I want to put buildings out? And there's just a lot of balance that needed to happen. And I think if you don't do it well, you're just like, lost the thread, la la la.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention in the rules teach was that, and it's been hinted at here, is the endgame tiles, endgame scoring tiles at the end of each of the kind of 4 routes that you can take. It is a race, as Angela said earlier, because the first person to get there gets the higher score, essentially. So you might get like 15 victory points if you land on this tile, and then everybody that follows after you will only get like 10. So there is a difference between being first or not first, essentially.
Yeah, but along these 4 routes are these different kind of objectives on the board that you can place a building at. One, you get to then put your piece there. That helps with your building endgame scoring, but they can do different things. Like they may count as a set that Reed mentioned for a second, or it could be that it's an endgame scoring condition, or it'll count as something else for an endgame score. And there's it's a balance of, do I stop at this location to build something? But if I do this, Becky might race ahead of me, which she did do. She was so mean. She did like a 6-move action. She skipped up all them actions so that she could beat me. And there's little bonus tokens along these routes. And because you can't go backwards, you can't say, oh, I really should have stopped and like gone backwards so that I could do one of these building actions. No, you have to make a choice to just leave it.
Also, you can only have one of your ships go down each of those routes. So you can't say, oh, I missed that. I'm going to come back with this other ship that I just put onto the main board. No, it's you only get to go down that route once. And that can kind of make or break your end game scoring depending on how you decide to do things.
There were many times where I felt the tension in deciding whether I wanted to move forward or stop and build. And some of that was determined by the race, and the other one was determined about how I could not get my building engine going within a short period of time. So you need to be able to have the stone or brick to build, and then you need to be able to land on it to take that action or land on that admin to take that action. And I would count and say, oh, it's going to take me 2 or 3 turns to be able to get what I need to do this. Or there's someone coming behind me and I just need to go to the end. So I didn't build as much as I wish I had.
Whenever we talk about a game, I'm always hopeful that it's underneath the table and then we can play the game because we're talking about it. Sometimes even if I don't love a game, I'm like, ooh, I would love to play that right now. And this is one that I would love to come back to a whole bunch because I think there are different ways to win, and the variable tiles are the endgame goals as well as those building spots. So it feels like there's a lot of variability even without the expansion, and that's something that I don't know, I just want to go back to and find different ways to win or different strategies to go about it. And I want to get better at the mancala action and not be like, wow, I'm real bad at a thing.
The endgame objective cards were one that you have to land on the trade action to be able to get. And in order to take those cards, you have to meet the requirements. So it might be you have to have X number of buildings or X number of ships or something like that. And they were incredibly hard to get. And I think I was relying too much on trading my goods between the gold and the other goods to be able to build or move, because I never had enough money to be able to buy those. And you can buy them for 4 gold each, but the balance of trying to get the objectives met and the gold at the same time, I think maybe I had one, maybe I didn't have any, and you all scored so many points off of those cards.
The first game we played, that was not the case. It was just like we were all pigeonholed into looking at our mancala and like brain-burning sensations of trying to figure out what we were doing. And then like in the halfway point, we're like, oh yeah, the objective cards. You can take those. And so, yeah, that was... those are big swings because they're generally like 15 victory points at the end of the game, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a ton because I think we were all like above 100 generally in victory points, but 15 is still a good chunk of that.
Now, Becky, Gillian, you guys have played at 2. What was the dynamic at 2? Was it very different than 4? Was it better, worse?
It was really snappy at 2 players generally. The qualm that I have, I think, with this game, and the only negative I think I have with it, is the downtime in 4-player games. In 2 players, it's very snappy. And yeah, I think Becky and I actually got the rules wrong for the administration action, so that maybe tilted it a little bit.
Well, we also had talked about that in the 2-player game, there isn't as much tension on the center board when you're fighting for the different spaces. The only thing that really changes about that, the main board, is that there are less bonus tokens for going down a path. So there is a bit of a race to get those bonus tokens, but there aren't as many people who are like gunning for the end to get an end goal. So I think in that first game, Gillian and I kind of went down our own tracks first, and I was like, okay, well, he's going that way, I'm gonna go the other way, so I know that I'm gonna get the top of that objective end goal, he's gonna get the top of that one, and then we'll kind of figure it out. So I definitely appreciate the tension, and I think like I enjoyed the 4-player game, but I think 3-player would be perfect with time between turns and then also like still having tension on the board.
Yeah, and to that point, in the 2-player game, the tension was lacking because it was kind of a zero sum where you could kind of see where they were going. And you're like, okay, it was easy to keep track of what just one other person was doing. Whereas in the 4-player game, it's hard to keep track of what everybody else is doing. And then all of a sudden somebody screams 6 spaces ahead and beats you to the end goal and you weren't anticipating that. And so there are more surprises at higher player counts that can, I think, make the game more interesting.
Angela was making some really intense eyes at me during that statement, but I would like to remind the table that Reed also would move far in a turn, and so it wasn't just me. Reed's also a winner.
I'm going to say that if 3 is the perfect player count because Reed is a jerk, we should probably just get rid of Reed, and then we can play this at...
I mean, it sounds like Becky's the jerk.
Oh, actually, yeah, we got to get rid of Becky. Are you okay with that, Gillian?
I'm just for the game, not forever.
Yeah, hold on.
I guess technically she maybe owns half the game, but whatever. Gillian
No,
can
she
buy
didn't
her
even know
out.
about it until it arrived.
Okay, we're not getting rid of Reed. We're not getting rid of me.
We're just going to deal with having a little bit of a sloggy game at 4.
Yeah, that was also my only complaint about the game, which is I think the more plays we get out of it, it could feel a little bit like, God, when is it my turn? Because you're not sitting in the brain burn as often because you have better strategies laid out. Or maybe we are so good at it that it moves very quickly. My only other kind of qualm about the game, and it's not big, it's big for me because I do this, and Reed, this might be what you were alluding to earlier, is that it is hard to do a take backsies. Like, it is. I do a lot of take backsies because my brain doesn't work very quickly. It works very slow. And I go, wait, I could have done this thing. Trying to figure out where you started and how to take your ships back into your hand after you've rolled them out is almost impossible. You're like, what the heck happened here? And so I had to find myself actually after 2 or 3, I think in the 2 games I had 2 or 3 take backsies. I was like, it's not even worth it to try, and I'm just going to live with these decisions that I've made. And we are a casual game group. We allow you to take backsies, but this game was hard. And that is not the game's fault. It is my brain's fault.
I'd like to add that all this talk about like the brain burniness and like how thinky everything is, what you hear around the table is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, wait a second.
3,
I can't do that. 1, 2, 3. That is what you hear around the table.
Yeah, and it's not a complicated game, really, mechanically. It's, I think, a 3.0 on the complexity scale in BGG. So it's not that bad, but it is just, it's not about the complexity in the rules. It's a complexity in the strategy that you kind of employ and really staggering your ships so that you can take the actions you want when you want them.
I love that thinking space that just, it's so much in this. And I didn't feel necessarily that it lagged between turns for me because I spent all of that time really trying to think about my next turn. And I would say that with more plays, we'll just get more comfortable in the mancala and being able to count and see that a little bit better. But this time I really was just planning out my next turn. What I didn't love about it is that other than the race to take cards and the race to get the different tokens and the race along the tracks, there wasn't a lot of player interaction where what you all didn't necessarily impact my turn other than maybe at the decision of which path to go down, because I could still do a lot of things. We could all build. There wasn't a competition to build. There wasn't like one fewer building that we could go so we couldn't, or build so that we couldn't all go to the same spot. You could. It gave everybody gold, but it didn't cost you anything. You didn't have to pay that gold. It came from the supply.
Yeah, that tension came more from I'm trying to get those. There are certain tokens that are spread out across the board, and when you get closer to the end, they'll help you move up that scoring track quicker. And so I think, got one of those. Everybody else beat me to it because they suck. But I think that's where that tension of the interaction came in, and trying to it only came out in the race. It was very, you're on your board, you're going around, but I felt like the board interaction was enough that I never felt like I was playing solitaire or solitarily playing by myself and going la 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 la. And there was no way I was going to build all of my buildings or all of my ships unless I focused on that. So it also felt good that I wasn't going to be able to get everything, which I hate in a game. I hate being able to unlock and build everywhere and do everything. So I loved that I had to skip some things to try and race.
The other, I guess I'm thinking about one of the plays that I think had a bit of a concern, had an issue, I think, that I'm curious if it'll pop up fairly frequently. But there was one game where one of those routes just lined up perfectly, where one of the city tiles gave you +2 ambrosia tokens, essentially. And those count as endgame victory points. And then the end of route tile was you gain more victory points for ambrosia tokens. So it just lined up perfectly where that single route really stacked. And I don't remember if it was the 2-player or if it was the 4-player games, but I remember Becky and I ended up going along that same track to make sure we were part of that kind of victory point scoring.
In Gillian's correction corner, they are called amphora in this game.
I knew they weren't ambrosia, but I went with ambrosia.
Well, we called them ambrosia during the game, so.
That's true. I think it's because of Hades, the video game.
Yeah, it is. Ambrosia.
I just called them glug glug jugs of wine, but I guess
No, you did not.
in my
You
head
did
I
not.
did.
Well, you didn't do
I called
that.
them
1, 2,
glug glug
3.
1 jug 2 jug 3.
Glug, glug, glug.
This game is really fun. I know it's a 3 on the level, and I would hate to think about how slow the game could go, especially if we're already talking about that 3 is better than 4. But it is a game I would be fascinated to play with my other game group because the rules overhead isn't complex. It is very thinky. I think if you play with somebody who has a lot of AP, analysis paralysis, this game may take a really long time, and so I would really play it at 3. We don't have a lot of analysis paralysis. I think we're just like, I can't be that person, and so we take our turn very quickly. But the rules aren't complex. The teach was, one, amazing because Gillian did it, but not too hard to pick up. I didn't even watch a video. I was like, this is fine. So I don't know. I kind of want to see what other folks would want to play the game, but I also know that it would take a really long time to get one play done.
There were definitely some times where I was feeling AP and then made an impulsive decision because I was like, I'm not going to do perfectly on this turn, so I'm just going to go for it. But I really dug in there. It was very burning.
I would say this was one of the few games where I've seen Reed do it. I think the biggest one in my memory is like the White Castle, where it was like one turn and you're like, oh, this is fun. And yeah, I love the joy of watching Angela and Reed like play the mancala and your eyes just lit up. And so
That
1, 2, 3, Reed.
just that mancala is such a joyful game, and having something so tactile, and it was a mini game within it, just being able to do this and move your ships around. What a fun mechanism. And I'm excited to dig into like Trajan and other games that you've talked about that use that.
Yeah, this is just a really fun game. I'm so sorry you could not find it. If you live in America, you're real screwed. But
for now, pre-orders are available, I think, from the company. I'm forgetting their name. But I think they are planning to deliver in early or mid 2026.
And until then, you can come over to Becky and Gillian's house and eat their cheese and lick their Legos and get in a game of Ostia. Thank you for listening to Board Game Homies. Drop us a line to tell us your favorite games of 2025 on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Board Game Geek. Bye-bye.
You are so adorable.
Thank you. It's a talent.
Striking to look at as like the striking blue apparently. And Jesus Christ. Angela, it's my dog. He won't stop licking and I want to kick him lovingly.
Wow.
Dang.
I'm really struggling. I lost the thread so many times.
Now you know what it's like when Reed plays a board game.
Whoa.
This game in particular, I wrote, it's really hard to keep the thread.